From the beginning, Elizabeth Keene was the emotional center of the Blacklist, a rookie profiler drawn into the world of a criminal mastermind. Her story followed a slow descent into moral compromise, shaped by Reddington's secrets and defended by his violence. When Liz was killed in the Season 8's finale, fans were shocked, not just by the loss, but by the way it happened. But the seemingly sudden death of Elizabeth Keene is by no means an accident, and we'll find out why. If you enjoy deep dives that go beyond the surface, hit like and subscribe. We break down the clues, the twists, and the stories others skip, so you never miss what really matters. From the beginning, Elizabeth Keene was more than just a rookie profiler. She was the emotional heart of the Blacklist, a woman caught between duty and identity, loyalty and betrayal. Her connection to Raymond Reddington was always central to the story, twisted, complicated, and, at times, profoundly tender. Reddington claimed he entered her life to protect her, and through all the chaos, he never stopped trying to do that. But protection came with conditions, secrets, control, and eventually, consequences. When Liz died in Season 8, it hit hard. There was no dramatic standoff, no final reveal, just a quiet moment, a single shot, and Reddington holding her as she died. It was heartbreaking and real, and it left many fans wondering, how could this possibly be the end? The truth is, Liz's death wasn't a random tragedy. It was the result of a long and complicated journey, one shaped by love, fear, and the decisions made by the people around her. Chief among them, Raymond Reddington. Not because he wanted her gone, but because the life he built around her was unsustainable. The truth was too dangerous. The enemies are too persistent. And the weight of everything left unsaid finally broke what he tried so hard to protect. This isn't about painting Reddington as a villain. It's about acknowledging that love, especially in his world, often comes at a cost. And Liz paid for it. Not because he stopped caring, but because his way of caring was built on manipulation, secrecy, and impossible choices. Her death was the end of a chapter that had been unraveling for a long time. And as much as it devastated Reddington, it wasn't entirely unexpected. Because in his world, tragedy is inevitable. And the people he loves always seem to pay the price. Elizabeth Keene spent years chasing answers about her family, her past, and the identity of the man who upended her life. Every time she got close to the truth, Raymond Reddington shifted the conversation. He didn't lie outright. He gave her just enough to keep going, to keep believing that the next secret revealed would be the one that finally made it all make sense. But it never did, because at the center of it all was a truth he couldn't bear to say out loud. By the time Season 8 arrived, Liz was no longer just a curious agent. She was a woman determined to reclaim control of her life. And she saw Reddington, once her protector, possibly her father, as the final obstacle between her and the truth. The dynamic had changed. It wasn't just about trust anymore. It was about power. And Liz wanted hers back. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She was trying to unmask him. But the closer she got, the more dangerous her position became. Not just to herself, but to everything Reddington had built. The truth, if exposed, could unravel lives. It could destroy people. And Liz, in her determination, became a threat to that fragile balance. Did Reddington want her dead? Absolutely not. His grief in the aftermath was real. His heartbreak was visible. But he also saw what was coming. He knew the danger she was in, and he had a choice: pull her deeper into his world and try to shield her, or let her stand on her own, knowing what that meant. He chose to step back, to respect her independence, even if it terrified him. But stepping back also meant removing the protection that had kept her alive. And the moment she stepped into the crosshairs of his enemies, she did so without the armor he had once provided. In the end, Liz's death wasn't the result of betrayal. It was the result of too many secrets for too long. She wanted the truth. He wanted to protect her from it. And the collision of those two desires led to an ending neither of them wanted, but both saw coming. In the later half of the Blacklist, Elizabeth Keene is isolated, emotionally, professionally, and physically. Her allies no longer trust her. The task force is fractured. She's on the run, torn between finding the truth and surviving long enough to understand it. That spiral didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of manipulation, loss, and impossible decisions. And at the center of it all was Raymond Reddington. He didn't directly orchestrate her downfall, but his choices, the secrets he kept, the enemies he made, the truths he withheld, created the conditions that left her vulnerable. Every time he pulled her deeper into his world, the line between protector and manipulator blurred, and when she tried to break free, she found herself alone. Reddington's emotional grip on Liz was complicated. He genuinely loved her. Of that, there's little doubt. But that love was filtered through a man who had lost everything and would do anything to keep what remained. Sometimes that meant shielding her. Sometimes that meant pushing her away. And sometimes it meant trusting that she could survive on her own, even when the odds said otherwise. During Season 8, that trust became a gamble. Liz had declared her intention to uncover the truth, even if it meant turning on Reddington. She aligned herself with dangerous people. She made reckless decisions. And Reddington, for once, didn't intervene. He didn't stop her. Some interpret this as a betrayal. But in reality, it was a reflection of just how trapped Reddington had become. He couldn't keep shielding her without exposing himself. And exposing himself meant unraveling everything he had sacrificed to protect her in the first place. He was stuck in a paradox. Tell her the truth and risk destroying her, or withhold it and risk losing her forever. When Liz finally found herself face to face with death, it wasn't because Reddington wanted it that way. It was because the system of lies they both lived inside couldn't hold anymore. The spiral had begun long before her final episode. And by the time she was alone, walking toward him in that fateful scene, the damage had already been done. Elizabeth Keene didn't die in a chaotic ambush. She died in a quiet, symbolic moment. Season 8, Episode 22. Conettes. She walks toward Raymond Reddington in the dark, about to make an impossible choice, whether to kill him and inherit his empire, or walk away and risk everything. But before she can decide, a single shot rings out. She collapses into his arms, dead before the task force arrives. It's sudden, but in the Blacklist, nothing is ever just chance. Elias Van Dyke pulled the trigger. A loyal enforcer of the late Neville Townsend, Van Dyke was obsessed with finishing his former boss's mission, killing Liz, whom Townsend blamed for his family's death. But Van Dyke didn't act alone. He had help, inside help. He knew exactly where to find Liz because Marvin Gerard, Reddington's own lawyer and longtime confidant, gave him that information. That's the twist that changed everything. Marvin feared what Red was planning. Reddington wanted Liz to inherit his criminal empire, but Marvin didn't trust her to carry that burden. He believed she would dismantle everything Red had built. So, Marvin made a decision. He leaked Liz's location to Van Dyke, knowing what would happen. He let someone else fire the bullet, but the betrayal was his. Suddenly, the eerie calm of Liz's final scene makes sense. It wasn't just an emotional crescendo. It was a carefully positioned endpoint. Not by Reddington, but by someone close enough to him to shape the outcome. Marvin didn't stage the scene, but his actions set it in motion. And Reddington, unknowingly or not, played his part by allowing Liz to stand exposed, alone. He didn't pull the trigger, but she still died in his arms, just as Marvin intended. The image that stays with us isn't one of chaos, it's one of stillness, of a protector who couldn't protect, of a legacy interrupted. That precision, that finality, wasn't accidental. It was the result of ambition, betrayal, and the long shadow cast by Reddington's world. The tragedy wasn't just in Liz's death. It was in how many people let it happen. That's the story her death tells. A man broken by loss, holding the one person he swore to protect, now beyond saving. But there's another version of that story. The one where his need for control, his fear of exposure, and his failure to change all contributed to the tragedy. And that version is harder to accept, because it means love wasn't enough. What do you think? Was Liz doomed from the start? Or was there a moment Reddington could have changed everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're drawn to stories with deeper layers and buried truths, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. At TV and Film Explained, we don't just unpack endings, we expose what others miss.